Did you know? Instant phone calls increase conversions by 500%. Web Control now integrates with CallDrip so you can instantly connect with internet leads. Here's how it works. A customer fills out a form online and becomes a lead. Then, within 60 seconds, a salesperson gets a call to connect with the new lead. The CallDrip lead, complete with contact and vehicle information, will automatically drip into the Web Control prospect listing page to make processing easy. Once the call is completed, your call history and the recording of the call will also flow into Web Control. This customer data will enable you to continue to follow up on that lead. Nurtured leads produce a 20% increase in sales opportunities. Generate more opportunities and more conversions when you instantly connect with internet leads with Web Control plus CallDrip. Contact Dominion Dealer Solutions to get started.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching today's live video webcast. And to prove it's live, if you noticed right before we started, you saw me running to the comedy stage here to start. We have had technical difficulties of some sort that we've repaired every time, different ones for each webcast. Today's webcast, no different. Today, we could not get our remote assistants to work, so we will not have a PowerPoint on either side during the live webcast. We're still going to go live today. We expect about 90 minutes. We're still going to give you the link to where you can get all of the information, the 4 processes that we're going to give away today. We are trying something new with the YouTube Live. We're doing the chat feature on that, so please use that throughout the webcast. And so when we give you links and things like that, you're going to have to, we'll take our time. We'll say them a couple of times for you just to make sure you have it. But when we post this video, the recording of it, we are going to add in the PowerPoints that we're missing, so realize that. Please enjoy the live webcast today, especially so that you can get the links to where to download the 4 internet sales processes that I'm going to give away today. Thanks to our sponsor, Web Control. We wouldn't be able to do these webcasts without sponsors, and we certainly wouldn't be able to give away 4 complete internet sales processes, including email templates and voicemail scripts, if we didn't have a sponsor like Web Control. They were able to help us out with that. Now, we are going to take a break in the middle of the material today. When we come back from the break, we are going to share we're going to share the link twice today to get the live or to get the free processes. We're going to share the link once when we get back from break, and then once again at the end of the material. Now, let's go through what to expect today. This is a fact-based training. This means everything I'm going to show you is based on actual experience of my clients or verifiable facts or studies, unless I tell you it's my opinion. So if I say something works or I say something doesn't work, it means that I've experienced this, my clients have experienced this, or I'm giving you the results of some research. Now, know the laws. Know the laws before you do anything, before you implement anything today. I don't know all the laws governing internet sales, phones, and texting specific to your city, your state, your province, or your country. So again, know the laws before you implement any of the advice that I provide today. We know that saying Steve Stauning said is not a defense. It's not even a defense in my own house. All right, so to be sure you get the most out of all of our free training, make sure that you go to undeniableadvantage.com. You'll want to bookmark that site, and you'll want to bookmark stevestauning.com. Both of those sites will give you 100% free training. On undeniableadvantage.com is where you get the full-length training. Classes generally from about 45 minutes to an hour and a half. And then on stevestauning.com, it's called Steve Stauning Short and Sweet. We give you 3 to 5 minute lessons for most of the training that we do. Now, the bonus for watching live today, be sure and stick around, because before the end of the webcast, I'm going to give you the complete details on where you can download my 2018 templates, including voicemail scripts and those processes for free. Now, again, to communicate live with me today, watch this video on its YouTube page. If you're watching it on our website, undeniableadvantage.com, go ahead and just scroll over the video. Look for the YouTube link at the bottom right of the video. Click on that link. That'll open up the YouTube page for this video. And then you can use the chat feature that's on the right to send me questions during the live webcast. Now, please note, we have about a 1-minute delay. So I'm going to say something, and then if you want to have a question about that, I won't see your question for at least a minute after I say it. So realize that. We are going to try to answer all the questions we can. Now, I know a lot of you are on the chat, and I appreciate that. I'm going to try to keep my eye on the chat a little bit, and if I miss your question, feel free to repeat it after you've given me at least a minute and a half to dive in and give you an answer on the question. So today is all about gaining the undeniable advantage. We're going to teach you how to write the best automotive internet sales processes that fit with today's consumer. Now, I'm not going to take you step by step through every template, every voicemail script for all of my processes, because that would be more than a full day of training. We're going to try to get this done in about 90 minutes. So I'm going to give you more about the why and the how to do it more than the what to do. But again, we're going to actually give you 4 free processes today, so you don't necessarily have to take all the notes. Now, we're going to review all 4 processes. We're going to review processes that we use, the basic 4 processes that you need for today's internet customer. We're going to review the traditional internet sales process. That's the process where we have, say, an internet lead that has a vehicle attached to it, or at least a year, make, model. We're also going to talk about the no-phone internet sales process. That, of course, self-explanatory. We don't have a phone number for that prospect. We'll talk about the trade-in lead process and the credit application lead process. And you need a different process for each one of those 4 lead types. And again, twice today, we're going to give you a link to download all 4 of these processes, once after the break and once at the end of the webcast. And again, all of that is courtesy of Web Control. That's Dominion's really cost-effective CRM tool that I absolutely love. I learned about it. Not everybody gets to sponsor these webcasts. We turn down more sponsors than we accept. And we only accept sponsors where we have a proven client, a client who's proven to be able to sell more cars with their product. Now, of course, top dealers don't just have those 4 buckets, okay? We talk about internet sales process, by the way, in terms of buckets, where we move a customer from one bucket to the other. Top dealers have sub-buckets. So under the traditional bucket, they'll also have a sub-bucket just for new car leads, or a sub-bucket for used car leads. Or even with the new car leads, they may have a bucket for trim-specific leads and a bucket for VIN-specific leads. They also have specific processes for different lead sources. For example, don't you think you'd want to send a different set of templates to someone who's connected with you via AutoTrader versus someone who came in, say, via AutoWeb or AutoBytel? Simple CRMs like Web Control actually make it easy to create multiple process paths. Now, speaking of Web Control, again, this live video training would not be possible without them. And I'm grateful to their team that they agreed to sponsor today. I really am. It costs us a lot to make these live video webcasts happen, and we simply can't do it without sponsorship. And again, I only allow sponsorship from products that work and help dealers sell cars. All right, we're going to go through 7 sections today. We'll take a break in the middle, as I said. We're going to dive right in. The first section is the internet sales process evolution and how it's changed over the years. Now, for the basic internet sales process for traditional leads, my process in 2006 was 150 days long, and we made phone calls through day 60 of the process. Just so you understand, we're talking about customers who've sent in a lead but have not connected with us. That's the entire internet sales process. So back in 2006, we were making phone calls for 60 days to what we call non-responsive prospects. These are people who've submitted a lead, and we've left voicemails and we've sent emails, but they haven't responded. So in 2006, the leads were high funnel. And so we had to make calls through 60 days, and we had to send emails through 150 days. By 2011, we'd shortened that process down to 120 days, and we only made calls through day 30. In 2016, we shortened the process again, the traditional process, down to 90 days, and we made calls through day 23. And then in 2018, our process that we're giving to you for 2018, our traditional process is only 45 days long, and we make 0 calls after day 15. But the real question is, why did we have to evolve? Now, there are 4 reasons that you have to evolve your internet sales process so that you're not sending emails 150 days. You know what? I actually know of an OEM that wants you to send emails for 120 days in your internet sales process to non-responsive prospects. Let me tell you what's happening in that process. You are being labeled a spammer by every single person who gets an email from you after day 90. I guarantee it. That process also asks you to make calls for 60 days. We know your team's not doing that. So let's talk about the 4 reasons that we have to shorten our processes for today's prospect. First, the customers have evolved. They have all of the information, and today's leads are really orders. They're no longer inquiries for more information. Second, if your emails are being read at all, they're mostly being read on smartphones. This means most of your images and links that you have are absolutely worthless. It also means that your emails need to be much, much shorter than they were in the past. Number 3 reason that we need to evolve is when you follow up forever, as some people will tell you to do, with a non-responsive prospect, you have a 100% chance of being labeled as junk or spam by that prospect. They won't opt out of your emails. They'll just put you in their junk folder. This is why so many of you are ending up in spam, even with customers who want to hear from you. You've got to stop spamming. You've got to stop sending these people email after email after email. Now, I'm going to pause for just a second because it looks like we may have a question. So someone is, Cheryl Pooler's asked, when are we starting? If she's on the page, she's starting. I can't help you if you don't know that we're starting. You may have to hit the play button on the YouTube. Anyway, finally, let's be real. The 4th reason that we need to evolve our processes is none of your salespeople, none of them are calling your non-responsive prospects for 60 straight days. Most don't call after day 2. Let's be real about that. And let me give you the reality of phone calls. You want to be first and you want to be fast. According to CraftJack, the first dealer to connect with a customer, with a prospect, sells that prospect 238% more often than the dealer who connects second. That's important to understand. We have to be the first one to connect with a prospect. Now, Velocify did a study that shows there's absolutely no ROI in making more than 9 calls to any non-responsive prospect. In fact, by the time you've made 9 call attempts, you've connected with 97% of the people who are willing to reconnect with you. There truly is no ROI after 9 calls. The goal, by the way, whenever you are trying to respond to internet leads, should never be to stop the clock. I know that our OEMs want us to stop the clock. We need to stop worrying about that. We need to call first, even though it won't stop the clock in your CRM. If you're the first one to call, we know, if we're the first one to connect, rather, we know that we're 238% more likely to sell that person a car versus the dealer who connects second. Now, let's talk about how you can always be first. Let me give you a little background on my experience with Web Control. We used them as our internet lead management tool back when I was with Asbury. I left Asbury in 2009. Since then, they changed CRM tools. I absolutely loved Web Control back then. I did. It was a great CRM. It was so easy to use, and I actually love it now. I reconnected with them recently because my dealers were having a problem with the big 3 CRM tools. And I needed to know if there was something else out there that I could start to recommend. There were problems with reporting. You know what I'm talking about, problems setting up processes. But here's one of the best things that they've changed at Web Control since 2009 is they integrate a tool called Call Drip. And Call Drip ensures that you are always the first person to get a hold of the customer, to get a hold of the prospect. It's a rapid response tool that connects you with prospects in about 60 seconds. And here's how it works. The lead comes into Web Control, and immediately Call Drip calls your salespeople. So your salespeople, they pick up their phone, right? They got their mobile device, and they talk to the customer, or not to the customer. They hear Call Drip telling them, hey, Barbara Jones is on the line. She's interested in a 2018 Camry. Hit 1 to accept. All they do is hit 1 on their phone, and now it rings Barbara Jones. Plus, after you've completed the call, when you were the first person to finally get a hold of this prospect, and now you're 238% more likely to sell them a car, all the data flows like a standard lead right back into Web Control, including the call history and the recorded call. So instead of worrying about trying to stop the clock to make our OEM happy, how about if we try to connect with the prospect? Because as we get into section 2 here, we're going to talk about the goals of the internet sales process. And you know what? Let's be clear about goals. There are multiple goals for the internet sales process. In fact, there are even more goals for each type of communication, whether it's email, text, or voicemail. Plus, we're going to have different goals for each different type of lead, right? We're going to have different goals for a new car third-party lead versus a website lead versus a trade-in lead versus a credit app lead. And understanding these goals allows you to create a better process with great templates and scripts. So again, we're not going to go through every one of my templates today. We're not going to go through every one of my processes. Those you're going to get for free just for attending. What we are going to do is we're going to give you the whys that we do certain things. And the biggest why is the goal. The overriding goal for the internet sales process, I want you to understand this, is to generate a reconnection. The goal is not to sell a car. The goal is not to sell the dealership, and the goal is not to build value. The overriding goal of your entire internet sales process is to get them to reconnect. See, the internet sales process is the process that we use to get non-responsive prospects to connect. Once they connect, then other processes take over, like appointment setting processes. Now, we want them to reconnect, and some of you aren't going to like this, but we want them to reconnect, preferably on the phones. A couple of you are thinking, Steve, phones? What? Why not text? Look, don't get hung up on popularity, okay? Or how you like to communicate, right? Or how you think your prospects wants to communicate. Let's ask for the reconnection via phone, and let's give options for text and email, okay? I'm not against reconnecting via email. I'm not against reconnecting via text. But let me tell you about the phone. When you get someone on the phone allows us to hear their voice, which allows us to decode meaning and more easily uncover and overcome real objections. The phone gives you context to what we say and what they say. It provides that context that you can't get in text and you can't get in email. The phone is more intimate, which gives us a chance to actually start building a relationship. And people are simply more honest over the phone. Now, the internet sales process is only about driving a reconnection. Okay? It's not about lead generation. That's what we do first. We generate some leads, and then once we get those leads, we drive a reconnection. It's also not about phone ups, because the internet sales process, we've already connected when they call in a phone up. We've gotten to the connection point. That's when we go into appointment setting, or once we've set the appointment and they've shown, we go into in-store processes. The internet sales process is not about selling a car. It's important to understand that. Now, if you really want to learn about, say, lead generation, we have 2 free classes on stevestauning.com to view. And since I created them, I highly recommend them both. So if you want to take those classes, they're 100% free on stevestauning.com. There's one on generating more website leads, and there's one on generating more trade leads. If you want to do that, that's great. Do it after today's lesson, but bookmark that site. Now, if you want to learn what to do after you reconnect, I have classes for that as well, and we'll highlight those a little later. Now, all right, the reconnection is the primary goal, but what are some of the secondary goals, Steve? Aren't there other goals of our process, the internet sales process? Yes, there are. For example, we may want to create some excitement, right? If we can create excitement, we can help them confirm their choice because they've made a choice before they ever contacted us. Another goal might be to build trust so that they'll choose us first, right? Another goal could be to create some urgency so that they'll choose quickly. See, one of the problems with the internet sales processes that go off for 180 days is, make no mistake, that customer has lost their new car fever 6 months after they've submitted the lead. All right, listen, whatever we do create, whatever processes we create, we have to make sure that these processes pass 2 tests. The first test you've probably heard of. It's called the DISC test, D-I-S-C. Does it sell cars? Okay, that's an important test to pass in any part of your process that you put together. Now, let me give you a new test for all your communications to non-responsive prospects, people who've submitted a lead but we haven't reconnected yet. And that's the DIR test, D-I-R. Did I reconnect? DIR, right? That's our goal. And so 2 tests for all of our processes, for all of our templates, for all of our voicemails. Does it sell cars? And did I reconnect? All right, we'll talk about both of those. But let's look at the DIR test and the DISC test. See, I can drive a reconnection today by texting this. And we're going to talk about this process twice today. I have some clients whose salespeople will text from their mobile device outside of the TCPA, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. They're basically sending a text that violates that, but it generates a high reconnection. And here's what they do, and I am not recommending this. I want to make sure you understand that. because this passes the DIR test but fails the DISC test, and that is this. Lead comes in from Robert Smith. I get my mobile device out, right, and I text back to Robert. I type, is this Bob? Question mark. And I send it off. So he gets a text from somebody he doesn't know, but someone with the same area code, right? And he'll respond, won't he? Did I reconnect? Absolutely. He'll reply back with, yes, who's this? This violates the TCPA, and it can turn off some prospects, which results in no sale. So while it passes the DIR test, did I reconnect? It fails the DISC test, did I sell a car? So while this drove a reconnection, it broke trust, and it does result often in a lost opportunity. So let's use what we know so far and create a template based on those goals. The DIR test, did I reconnect, and today's customer. That means, what do I know about today's customer? Now, primarily, we need to drive a reconnection. But we also want to create excitement and urgency while we build some trust. Now, what should we say and not say in this template? And by the way, this will mean a whole lot more to you when we have the templates up here. But don't worry, this template that we're going to give you and all the talk tracks that I'm going to talk about today are all in the free processes that you're going to get, so you don't have to write any of them down. So let's do a sample template where we're going to work on getting a reconnection. We may even create some urgencies or some excitement. But let's start with the most important email template in the entire process. And some of you aren't going to agree with me, but that's the auto response. Don't overthink this. The auto response is not optional, and it's not spam. The auto response is like Amazon's order confirmation. It's actually welcomed by the buyers, right? When you order something on Amazon and they send you an email that says, hey, Steve, we got your order. Are you mad? Are you thinking, why is Amazon spamming me? I'm a customer? No. You're like, great, they got my order. All right. Here's our auto response that you're going to get in the process, the traditional process. Confirmation from Steve's Ford. Thank you for contacting Steve's Ford. This is an automated response to let you know we've received your online request for the 2018 F-150, and an appointment coordinator will contact you shortly. We're genuinely excited to help you in your vehicle search. At Steve's Ford, we're well known for providing a true, no-hassle buying experience every time. If you're ready to schedule your priority test drive now, please respond to this email. Otherwise, we will call you, if you provided a phone number, to help you schedule this. If you'd prefer, you may call us at any time at 888-318-6598. We look forward to assisting you. Thanks. Now, don't overthink this. This is an auto response. Now, there are stats out there, mostly given to you by your OEM, that say an auto response sent during working hours is unnecessary because your team should answer right away. Now, we should answer right away. But remember, we want to be the first to reconnect. Now, our data shows that sending a bad auto response at any time is a bad thing. But even if you call in 5 minutes or less, even if you're using call drip through web control and you're connecting in 60 seconds, the right auto response can set up that call. Now, I don't have the template to show you right now, but I'm going to take you through some things that we did on that template. Remember, our goal 1 is a reconnection. Did you know in that auto response, we told them that was our goal 4 times? We really did. We told them we were going to do that, that's what we were working on. We told them that goal 1 was a reconnection, and here's how we told them that. First, we said an appointment coordinator will contact you shortly. Sounds like this dealer wants to reconnect. We also said, if you're ready to schedule your priority test drive now, please respond to this email. We asked for a reconnection, didn't we? We also said, otherwise, we will call you. Oh, we're trying to connect, aren't we? And finally, we said, if you'd prefer, you may call us. We told them about our reconnection goal 4 different times. Now, if you're the prospect, what do you think the prospect expects here? Number 1, the prospect expects to communicate with someone, whether email or phone. And make no mistake, if you are set up to text via your CRM, then include that option in your auto response. Number 2, guess what they expect? They expect to skip to the test drive. And number 3, they expect a no-hassle experience. That's what they got out of that auto response. We were able to set those expectations because we sent an auto response. Something that we couldn't do if all we did was wait. Lead comes in, we read the lead, we stop the clock with a phony email going out that's meaningless to them, and then we get on the phone 25 minutes later. They wouldn't know what the expectations are. We're going to go right to voicemail. But wait, Steve, we didn't really build trust, create excitement, or create urgency. Well, we kind of did a little bit. We said we're excited. We said we're happy to help you. We talked about the no-hassle experience, and we talked about setting up the test drive right away. But even if we didn't, let's understand this. You cannot cram everything you want to say into every email. I mystery shop some of you. When your dealers come to my 20 groups, I can tell you, some of you are trying to cram everything you want to say into every email. Remember, your auto response is an email that's likely being read on a mobile device. So keep it short and keep it text only. But Steve, shouldn't we include mentions of our huge inventory or links to our service pages or links to our specials pages? Or, we've got this great these 10 paragraphs about our commitment to the community or maybe even alternate vehicles. Why don't we include all that? And I'm not just talking about the auto response now. I'm talking about putting these into any of the emails that we send out. Let's talk for a second about our huge inventory. You're a Chevy dealer, and you've got over 100 Silverados in stock. And so you like to say, we've got over 100 Silverados in stock. Listen, that's great for TV. That's great for radio. That's great for a display ad. But it's not for your email responses, and here's why. There's a Columbia study that's posted in the Harvard Business Review on choice that I've quoted before. But let me take you through the study for just a moment. The study was conducted by an expert on choice named Sheena Iyengar. And what she did and her assistant is they set up jars of jam on supermarket tables in two different ways. One, they set up 24 varieties of jars of jam, and 3% of the people who walked by the table, who interacted with the table, bought some jam. 3%. 24 varieties of jam, 3% of the people bought jam. When she reduced the varieties of jam from 24 down to 6, 10 times more people bought jam. See, we need to limit their choices. Yes, you've got 100 Silverados in stock. Shout it from the rooftops. Just don't do it in your processes. They chose you. They chose your vehicle. They're ready to buy today. Don't try to confuse it with more choices. We need to limit choices if we expect them to make a decision. All right, Steve, I get you on that. I'm not going to talk about huge inventory in my emails anymore. What about links, though, Steve? We've got this great template set up with a nice header at the top, right? An email template with a header, and it's got links to new cars and used cars and service and parts and contact us or website, whatever, specials. Why don't we send out our links? First off, when I was at Asbury, we built a bunch of those beautiful email templates. Today, that image probably doesn't render on their smartphone when they're reading your email. And if it does render, your text gets squeezed down and it's real tiny. It's a terrible experience. But on top of that, links to anything in your emails other than the vehicle of interest or to a credit app in the right template, those do nothing to move the prospect forward. Think about your service links. Why are you putting service links in there? Are you telling them, hey, we expect the car that you're interested in to break down. We want you to visit our service page right now? How about your social media links? They don't care if you have a Facebook page at this point. They don't care if you have a YouTube page. Let's get rid of those links. Specials? They're ready to buy now. They made a decision. They found value and relevancy in the vehicle that you had, and they want to buy it from you now. And now you're going to say, hey, hold on. Before you pay full price for something, check out our clearance corral. Again, you got to think about mobile on a lot of this stuff. We've got dealers today when we'll mystery shop you, you've got down at the bottom. So you've got the nice header at the top, and then at the bottom, your email program will put all your hours for all the days of the week. On mobile, that's so tiny, no one can read it. If they want to know your hours, they can find your hours. You don't need to put everything into every email. All right, Steve, but the community stuff, the why buy messaging, I've got to have that in there, right? To an extent, yeah. Limited why buy messaging is fine. Your primary goal is to drive a reconnection, but we do have a secondary goal of building trust. So having a little bit of why buy messaging is okay. But again, think mobile. And remember the primary goal of driving a reconnection. We mystery shopped a dealer recently who one of their why buy messaging links, they have about 12 why buy from them links. One of their links was 24-hour towing. Okay, so you must sell so many cars that break down on the road, you've got to offer 24-hour towing. Maybe I'll go somewhere else. Think about your goals here. We don't need to tell them everything. Give them one or two things that are great about us. If you've got great Google reviews, one of the things I really like to see is, hey, check out what our customers have to say. Click here to see our Google reviews. That's great. That's some good why buy messaging. But just think about what the prospect really cares about. Do they care that you're a 22-time President's Club Award winner? No. Do they care that you have a YouTube account? No, they don't. All right, alternate vehicles. We'll get to in just a second. Looks like we have a question. Yeah, so, and I knew we'd get this question, Justin. Great question. So Justin has a question about the OEMs, and we have to be OEM compliant, and so we have to put all this stuff in. And I get this question a lot when I do training, especially even when I train for OEMs. Here's the deal. Your OEM is going to mystery shop you, and they're going to mystery shop you for two things. They're going to mystery shop you for the auto response, and they're going to mystery shop you for the first personal email, right? The second email in the process, and that's it. They're not going to go through and look at day 3, day 5, day 10 templates. They're just not going to do any of that stuff. So put everything you need to be OEM compliant in the emails that they're grading you on, and then do it my way or your way or the way that's going to drive a reconnection and help us sell cars. Do it that way for the rest of the process. All right. So let's keep the OEM happy when we can keep them happy, and then otherwise, let's make sure that we're doing it the way that is going to help us sell more cars and help us reconnect with more people. Great question, Justin. Thank you for that. All right. Let's talk alternate vehicles, right? You know, there's lots of debate on the alternate vehicles. Let's be clear, though, okay? They've placed an order with us, and we want to limit their choices. So why would I send them alternate vehicles, say, in that first personal email response? Here's why. If you're not the low price leader, okay, this is not the auto response, by the way. This is that first personal response, the only email that we actually touch. If you're not the low price leader in your market and you get a new vehicle lead, you have to assume that others in your market are getting the same lead, including the guy or gal who's the low price leader in the market. And so you've got to take time to get them off of price and to build a little trust. So here's how you do it, okay? You offer 2 alternate vehicles when you have a specific new car lead, but you limit it, okay, to 2 alternates because we want to limit their choice. Both alternates must be priced lower than the vehicle of interest. So here's the vehicle they're interested in. Here is the base model new, and here is a better equipped used or CPO model, all right? That's going to do 2 things. It's going to help us build a little trust because, look, we're downselling them. We're not upselling them. And it's going to get the customer off price because now your price range is here instead of just here. Now, good CRMs make it easy to build those alternate vehicle emails. All right, got a question from Dennis. How do you feel about a video email response? Oh my gosh, look at you guys. I want to talk about that too. I actually do talk about it in a second, but I will give you this, the video email response. Actually, you know what? I'll wait to answer that, Dennis, when we hit that part in here because I do have a couple of notes that I want to make sure I don't miss. All right, so back to the alternate vehicles. Good CRMs make building this really easy. Well, Steve, wait, what about an e-brochure? Listen, if your CRM can easily do this, and if your e-brochure is attractive, informative, and compelling, then definitely send an e-brochure in that first personal email response as well. And here's what I mean by that. So web control, you can grab all the vehicles of interest and put them in there in a nice way. Now, a lot of CRMs can do that, but what some people don't understand about their CRM is that theirs is not the only one that can do it. There's lots of bells and whistles in every CRM. It's got to be able to put the alternate vehicles in there, not automatically, because when that happens, I always see alternate vehicles that are priced too high, but rather where you just take a couple of minutes and put the email together. All right. In all of our templates, in all of our voicemail scripts, we want to speak like a human. We don't want to talk like a car guy in these templates. So avoid dealer phrases like, I'll do anything to earn your business. And replace those with human phrases like, I'm here to help you schedule your no-hassle test drive, or my only job is to help you buy your next car with no hassles. That's what we want to do. That's the way that we want to communicate with them. And it's really hard. It's hard for me not to say on the phone, you know, we really want to earn your business. We've got to get away from that. We've got to stop being regular car guys and car gals. Now, finally, you need to test all of your email templates and all of your voicemail scripts. And the ultimate test is the DIR test. Did I reconnect? Okay. But when writing these templates, you can't be sure if something's going to drive a reconnection, right? So let's create a different test first, all right? The first test we want to look at is we want to make sure that the templates that we write format properly. So look at your newly written templates and ask, is it fussy, right? That is, does my template, does it create a sense of fear or urgency or scarcity, shame or excitement? Fussy, F-U-S-S-E. So fear in my template, is there some fear of loss for that customer? Is there a fear of missing a good deal, right? Urgency, sort of a buy now kind of urgency, right? Scarcity, right? Like used cars, lots of buyers, but only one car. And then the shame part's really easy. It's funny, the shame emails I love, but it's, why aren't you returning my calls? Did I offend you somehow? Kind of shame. Those are, and by the way, all those templates are going to be available to you in the process that you're going to get for free. All right, let's start in section 3, the internet sales process and buckets. And remember, I talked about internet processes, or really all sales processes are buckets, where we put the customer in one bucket, and then when they move to a different stage in the process, we move them to another bucket. So let's think about all of our processes as buckets, and all good CRMs can handle these 2 basic buckets, the non-working bucket and the working bucket. All right, this is the very basic part of internet sales process, and every CRM can handle this. The non-working bucket, a lead comes in, we haven't reconnected with them, they go in the non-working bucket, meaning we're not working with them yet. That non-working bucket, if we set up the process correctly and easily, that's going to tell us when to make phone calls, and it's going to automatically send out our emails to these non-responsive prospects. But as soon as we reconnect with someone, we move them into the working bucket. Okay, and the working bucket is where we're going to take them someplace else. Appointment, follow-up, sold, something like that. Now, those are the 2 basic buckets. Most of you have a non-working bucket and then about 20 different working buckets, and that's fine. What I want to do is I'm going to give you 4 non-working buckets today, right? And then you can continue to keep your other processes that you have for the working ones. Now, the internet sales process, the template emails, those scripts, those all exist in that non-working bucket. And our primary goal of everybody in the non-working bucket is just to move them to the working bucket. That's it, okay? Once we reconnect with someone, then that appointment process starts to kick in. Now, today we're teaching just how to reconnect. The appointment process is once you get a reconnection, again, hey, guess what? We have free classes for that. Those are available free online. Just visit stevestauning.com. and look for full series videos along the right-hand margin. So look for creating an appointment culture, appointment-driven communication, leading an appointment culture, and our newest video series, which is called The Perfect Appointment. All of those series will help you set appointments with people you've reconnected with. All right, let's get back to the buckets. Now, the 4 lead buckets that we're going to teach today, the traditional lead, the no-phone lead, the trade-in lead, and the credit application lead. Those are the 4 buckets we're going to talk about. Now, great CRMs like Web Control can put the lead automatically into most buckets just based on the lead source. So I got a lead from Black Book, right? It's a trade lead. It goes into my trade appraisal. And then, wait, I got a different lead from Black Book. It's their credit application. Well, that goes into my credit application bucket automatically. Good CRMs like Web Control can do that automatically. But you are going to want to create additional buckets over time. So I'm going to give you those 4 buckets for free today. But for example, under traditional, you're going to want to send a different stream of emails and leave different voicemails for sub-buckets like VIN-specific new, trim-specific new, make model new, and used. So you may have 4 sub-buckets under traditional where we have a phone number. Now again, your CRM should make this easy and intuitive to do. If it's hard to set up new buckets and sub-buckets, guess what? You're not going to do it. Your team's not going to do it. If it's hard, which happens a lot, every Black Book trade lead, I see it all the time, is going to get a traditional response. Meaning we're going to be focused on the wrong things. They're trying to trade in their car and we're trying to sell them what was the vehicle of interest. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. This explains, by the way, why you're not so good at connecting with your trade-in leads, right? They were probably on your site for service and got enticed correctly to fill out a trade lead. And guess what? They filled out a trade lead and you're trying to sell them the vehicle of interest. All right, new question. Roughly what percentage of leads include a valid, properly connect to the prospect phone number? This will help establish the value of different processes in the bucket. There are so many things that can affect whether you're getting a valid phone number or not. For example, lead source, okay? Your website, if your form is set up properly, you're probably going to get a good percentage of phone numbers that are correct. What I wouldn't worry about is focusing too heavily on whether or not I get a valid number or not. If I call the number and it's not valid, guess what I do? I move them from the traditional bucket to the no phone bucket, all right? And now they're going to get a different series of emails that we'll talk about. And it's not going to prompt me to make calls. That's one of the worst things that happens with most of your CRMs today is they just have that one process and you have no calls to make. And so even though it's asking you to make calls, you have to keep selecting, you have to keep, dismissing these activities or faking that you made the activities. And the emails that go out to that prospect say silly things like, I've been trying to call you. Well, if they never gave you their number, how in the world are you trying to call them? All right. And Steve, wait a minute. But I don't know how to create these extra buckets or these sub buckets. Listen, I know. Listen, great CRMs have a knowledge base that you can easily search, meaning other people have had this question before. They've solved it. They put it into a knowledge base that makes it easy to do this stuff. This knowledge base should contain step-by-step instructions for everything you want to do. But unfortunately, many CRMs today make you speak to a human whenever you want to do anything, change anything. And if your CRM isn't do-it-yourself and easy, it's probably time to look for a new one. And I don't say that lightly. I hate changing CRMs. I'd rather change DMS than change CRMs ever. But if it's not helping you sell cars, if it's hurting you, then it may be time to change. Here's a perfect example. I worked with a dealer this month. At the dealership, we waited 3 hours for their rep to call them back and tell them where the CRM company had moved a report. They made changes to their reporting and they moved a report somewhere else in the tool. And it wasn't intuitive to us as to where that report was. We couldn't get an answer. It took 3 hours for them to call back. In the meantime, we went on LinkedIn and we asked the question on LinkedIn, and a dealer consultant, just a trainer who was working with another dealer at the time, not a trainer for the CRM, but an independent trainer, he helped us before the CRM company ever responded. He had the same question for his client. He found the report. He told us where to find the report. That's not how CRM should be. If they make a change, there should be a nice, easy knowledge base on where we can actually get that information. All right, we're going to get ready for our break. When we do, we're going to have a countdown clock. It'll be a 6-minute countdown clock, 6-minute break. If we're behind on any of the questions, we'll address them when we get back. Except I do see that Cheryl Pooler has asked, "What are your suggestions on a great CRM?" I happen to like Web Control. As you know, they are a sponsor of today's webcast, but I really do like them. I wouldn't allow anybody to sponsor that wasn't able to really help dealers sell cars. Now, the 6-minute break, not enough time to sell a car. Remember, if you have questions, chat with us on the YouTube page, right? So watch this video on YouTube, not on Undeniable Advantage. And don't forget, when we return from the break, I'm going to tell you where to get my 2018 processors for free as soon as we return. See you in a minute or 6 minutes.
Did you know? Instant phone calls increase conversions by 500%. Web Control now integrates with Call Drip so you can instantly connect with internet leads. Here's how it works. A customer fills out a form online and becomes a lead. Then, within 60 seconds, a salesperson gets a call to connect with the new lead. The Call Drip lead, complete with contact and vehicle information, will automatically drip into the Web Control prospect listing page to make processing easy. Once the call is completed, your call history and the recording of the call will also flow into Web Control. This customer data will enable you to continue to follow up on that lead. Nurtured leads produce a 20% increase in sales opportunities. Generate more opportunities and more conversions when you instantly connect with internet leads with Web Control plus Call Drip. Contact Dominion Dealer Solutions to get started.
were on a break.
We were on a break. We were on a break.
Okay.
We were on a break. We were on a break. We were on a break.
We were on a break.
We were on a break. We were on a break.
You guys were on a break.
We were on a break. We were on a break.
We really were on a break.
Did you know? Instant phone calls increase conversions by 500%. Web Control now integrates with CallDrip so you can instantly connect with internet leads. Here's how it works. A customer fills out a form online and becomes a lead. Then, within 60 seconds, a salesperson gets a call to connect with the new lead. The CallDrip lead, complete with contact and vehicle information, will automatically drip into the Web Control prospect listing page to make processing easy. Once the call is completed, your call history and the recording of the call will also flow into Web Control. This customer data will enable you to continue to follow up on that lead. Nurtured leads produce a 20% increase in sales opportunities. Generate more opportunities and more conversions when you instantly connect with internet leads with Web Control plus CallDrip. Contact Dominion Dealer Solutions to get started.
Hey, welcome back from our break. Thank you very much. I'll give people just a minute to get back before I give out the web address for where you can download my 4 processes that we're giving away for free today. Again, we're going to give it away. We're going to give that link at the end as well. Also, we're going to make sure that we have a link on our homepage. It's not there now. It'll be about an hour after the live training today. There'll be a link on our homepage of undeniableadvantage.com that gives you this link I'm going to give you, because the link may be a little hard to write down. So, and since we don't have our PowerPoint up, since that part's not working today, there is the link, drivedominion.com/web-control-webcast-visitors/ drivedominion.com web-control-webcast-visitors. And I don't know if I said it right the first time, so I'll say it again. drivedominion.com/web-control-webcast-visitors/. That's where you can go right now to get all 4 free processes, 100% free, all the templates, all the voicemail scripts. They're all there for you to download. I'm going to give this address in the end. And again, an hour after today's training, if you go to our homepage, not now, an hour after today's training, if you go to our homepage at undeniableadvantage.com, at the top of the page, there will be a link to this page. So if you can't write down all of this, just remember undeniableadvantage.com, and you'll be able to download an hour after our training today, a link. You'll be able to go here to download. All right. So let's see. Let me dive back into the training now. And again, thank you for coming back from the break, those of you who did. We're in section 4, the traditional internet sales process. Now, I want to make sure that you understand about the traditional internet sales process. There is nothing traditional about today's buyer. Today's buyer has all the information. Today's buyer has spent hours looking online. Today's buyer chose you and your vehicle, and because you're probably already priced to market. If all of those things are true, they chose your vehicle, they chose your dealership, and your price to market, guess what? They're at the bottom of the funnel. They're a whole lot lower in the funnel than they were just a few years ago. They're ready to buy today. So let's build our processes and our templates and our scripts for the traditional internet lead and our traditional process with this in mind. Every lead is an order. They're trying to buy. They want to buy today, and they want to buy from you. So let's make that happen. Let's write our processes and our scripts and our templates for that. Now, the traditional process today is a whole lot shorter than yesterday because the customer is lower funnel. Calls stop after 9 voicemails or 15 days, whichever comes first, because as we learned earlier, there's no ROI in making more than 9 calls. There's also no ROI in calling after 15 days to a non-responsive prospect. Now, don't tell me, but Steve, this one time, yeah, we called this guy after 60 days. He took our call and he was back in the market. It was great. Yeah, okay, one guy. You probably wasted hundreds of calls till you got that one guy, okay? Let's focus on the living. Let's focus on the ones who are ready to buy today. Now, again, 97% of the people who are willing to reconnect with us will have reconnected with us by the 9th call. So if you do 3 calls on day 1, 3 calls on day 2, and 3 calls on day 3, guess what? You got no more calls to make to that prospect. 9 calls or 15 days, whichever comes first. Now, let's be honest. Most internet sales teams aren't calling after day 7 right now, are we? Okay? So let's have a process that makes sense. We want to focus on creating some urgency so they don't lose their new car fever. Now, we used to talk when I started in the internet business in automotive, we used to talk about follow up until they what? Till they buy or die, right? Why don't we do that today? Why don't we follow up until they buy or die? Because emails to a non-responsive prospect 10 days after the lead was submitted are rarely opened, okay? Those that are opened have to provide an extremely compelling reason to drive a reconnection in order to have any impact at all on the prospect. Plus, make no mistake, sending emails after 4 weeks to a non-responsive prospect greatly increases your chances of being labeled a spammer without generating enough necessary reconnections to offset this risk. So if you actually told me, Steve, forget 45 days, I want to stop my process at day 28, I would not disagree with you. I would not. In fact, probably the only reason my process doesn't stop at day 28 is people wouldn't believe me. They think it's the silliest thing ever. All the people that want to follow up now and forever. You got to stop that. Now, our process, the traditional process that you're going to get for free, this process has 21 activities, and 13 of those activities take place in the first 7 days. The activities are this. There's going to be 10 emails that we're going to send over the 45 days. There are going to be 9 voicemails that we're going to leave over the 15 days, and we're going to do 2 text attempts, one in day 1, one in day 3, both from our CRM tool. Now, with all processes and templates, don't overthink these, okay? The goal is a reconnection. Every email, by the way, should look like you wrote it personally, but never do that, okay? The voicemails should sound like a human trying to help the prospect, not a robot reading a script. And I get this question a lot. Steve, what's more important with my processes and templates and things? Is it quantity of messages or is it quality of messages? Guess what? Start with quantity, then focus on quality. I would rather have your team make 9 bad phone calls than 1 great phone call, okay? Because 1 call gets us connected with about 48% of the prospects who are willing to reconnect. So start with quantity, then focus on quality. Make the calls, leave the voicemails, then focus on making them better, okay? You want to measure which voicemails are actually returned, which ones prompt the prospect to take your next call. Those are voicemails that are working. Now, voicemails matter more than emails in our attempt to reconnect in the traditional process, because in the traditional process, we have a working number. So let me give you 5 quick best practices for all of our voicemails. We need to be enthusiastic. This is a big deal for them. They're trying to buy a car. We need to be prepared. That's the second thing you might, well, Steve, I'm always prepared to leave a voicemail. No, you're not. I mystery shop a lot of stores, and we hear this all the time, right? So we mystery shop a store, and this is your salesperson on the other end, right? Probably chatting with somebody in the room. Oh, hello, hello. After about 5 seconds of no, about nothing, they'll hello, hello, oh, and then they'll go into their voicemail because now they realize they got voicemail. They weren't paying attention. Be prepared. You got to leave me a compelling reason to call you back. That's the 3rd best practice. The 4th one is we want 1 call to action, a single call to action in all of our voicemails, and this is your call to action. Call me back at, and your number. That's your call to action. Don't tell them your hours. Don't tell them be sure and ask for me. Don't tell them you're off tomorrow, but you're back on Thursday. You tell them that, they're coming into your day off, all right? And finally, the 5th best practice is to highlight your persistence. Make sure that where you can in your voicemails, you tell them, if I don't hear back from you, I'm going to keep trying you. When you highlight your persistence, you'll be amazed at how quickly they take your next call. All right, I'm going to do the day 4 voicemail. Don't worry about it. This is the day 4 new car voicemail. Again, it's free in our processes that you'll get by going to that link. But here's the day 4 new car voicemail in our traditional process. Hey, I'll do it with a phone. I'll do it with a desk phone, right? Hello again, Bob. This is Steve Stawning calling back from Steve's Ford, and I wanted to let you know that the current factory incentives on the Mustang expire soon. Now, we're not sure what Ford's going to do after that, as the inventories do appear to be coming down. Anyway, Bob, please call me back so we can schedule a quick test drive on the Mustang and then look at how these incentives might make a difference. My number is 555-1212. Once again, that's 555-1212. And don't worry if you can't reach me right away. I'll try again later. Thanks and talk to you soon. That's our voicemail. Don't overthink it. Our goal is a reconnection. Now, some of you are saying, yeah, Steve, but what about texts? I'm going to be boring here, okay? Sorry, but the TCPA creates too big of a hurdle for dealers to try to cheat it. It's a $1,500 fine for every offending text. I did the math once for a dealer group. If you have 10 salespeople who send 5 offending texts a day in a week, you could get 10 salespeople, 5 texts a day in a week. You could rack up $375,000 worth of fines, okay? The TCPA, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, limits what you can text until you have express permission. This means we use what's called a double opt-out to be safe. So our lead form on our website might say, hey, by submitting this lead, you're giving us permission to text. That's only the first opt-in. Some of you know, like we got in the question, that not everybody gives us their right phone number, right? If you start texting that person right away and it's the wrong person, you're violating the TCPA. This means we text from our CRM tool. When you text from your CRM tool, you have a better chance, because they'll help you stay compliant, you have a better chance of staying compliant. But I do have that texting tip that I do not recommend. Remember, is this Bob, right? So you get a lead from Robert Smith and you run to your mobile device, right? You text back, is this Bob, right? Because you think you're slick. He sees the text from a number in market, he calls it, or he texts back, yeah, it's Bob, who's this? Great. Why don't I recommend it? Because it violates the TCPA. He hasn't opted in for this. Now, it generates a high connection rate? Yes. But the low showed a connection rate, all right? So it passes the DUR test that I reconnect, and it fails the DISC test because it's basically dishonest. And let's be clear, we don't need to be dishonest. We don't. They ordered the car from us, okay? So let's not be dishonest. Let's just try to connect. All right, now let's talk emails for just a minute. For all processes to non-responsive customers, only the first email after the auto response is touched by human hands. Let me say that again. I've got 10 emails in the traditional process, the auto response, and then the second email that goes out is the first personal response. The other 8 emails should all be automated. They should never be touched by human hands. There is no ROI in hand typing an email to a non-responsive prospect. Focus your time on the phones. Now, some of you, I know what you're saying. Hey, Steve, hold on. We want our emails to look personal. We really do. Great. Write a personal email. Write a personal email to a non-responsive prospect on day 3. Check it for typos. Now, make that great personal email your template and have it fire automatically on day 3 for all non-responsive prospects. Now you've got a personal looking template. The primary goal of your emails is what? Say it with me, drive a reconnection. If you can't do this with an automated email, then why do you have a CRM? Why not just send everything through Outlook, okay? By the way, I have never seen a personal email sent after day 1 that performed better than an automated template. Let me say that again. I've never seen a personal email sent after day 1 that performed better than an automated template. Because if it did, we'd make it an automated template, wouldn't we? All right, so let's look at my traditional internet process. This is for VIN-specific or where you have at least a year, make, model. So this is a lead for a vehicle. We have year, make, model, or we have a VIN-specific. Day 1, auto response. Then our phone call goes out. Remember, if we're using call drip through web control, that's 60 seconds. Then you can either choose to do your personal email or your request to text. It's up to you. Then do the other one, right? Personal email first, request to text second, or request to text first, then personal email. I don't care. But they always come after the phone call. Then, depending on the time that the lead came in, I want you to make up to 2 more phone calls on that first day. Steve, isn't this too aggressive? No. They placed an order with us, okay? I have one goal. My goal is a reconnection. And I know that the dealer who speaks to the prospect first sells them 238% more often than the one that speaks to them second. So feel free to cut these 6 attempts we're making on day 1 down to 3. Go do it. Your competitors are going to love you because they're going to sell more cars. All right, let me take you through the basic, just the first 5 days of progression. You'll see the process when you get it. But I want to make sure that you understand how a process evolves to the prospect, what they see on their end. So whether it's voicemail or email, this is kind of the message we're sending. Day 1, we're kind of sending, hey, got your order, we need to talk. Day 2, let me help you schedule a test drive. Day 3, I think I have the wrong number. Day 4, voicemails might be about incentives expiring, right? If it's a new car or if it's a used car lead, hey, maybe we got some great trades. And our email that goes out is maybe the manager email. Hey, we're trying to reconnect. Day 5, the manager voicemail, we dropped the ball. That's the basic progression through the first 5 days. And what I want you to understand is notice how those messages vary. You need to remember this for all your processes. If what you said or sent yesterday didn't drive a reconnection, then what makes you think it'll work today? Once in place, you can measure which messages connect most often and move them up the rotation, right? So if you've got a great day 8 email that like 50% of the people who see the email respond to it, great, move it into day 3 if it makes sense, because now we're going to get 50% of the people to connect earlier, right? Those emails and those voicemails that don't drive a reconnection, you either rewrite them or you scrap them. Now, again, I'm not going to teach the entire process. You're going to get your own free copy with the link you got earlier, the link that I'll also show in the end today. My goal today is to teach you the why and the how to write your own processes. So we know the traditional or vehicle process needs to be short with varied messages. What else? Well, wait. We had a question, didn't we? What about a video response? Told you I had it coming up. Listen, great. I'm all in, okay? I'm all in on a video response email after the phone call, right? That's where the personal email goes in. Our goal is still a reconnection, okay? And if your video response email passes the DIR test, did I reconnect, then go for it, okay? So for those of you who don't know, this is a video response email. I can either do it on my desktop, my laptop with it, or I can do it on my iPhone here, my mobile device, right, where I can say, hey, Mrs. Jones, Steve Stawning with Steve's Ford. Hey, I got your information. I just left your voicemail. I just want to let you know I'm really excited about giving you a chance, getting you in here, taking that. Whatever you're going to say, you send it to them. That's your video response. Now, the problem with the video response is not everybody's comfortable doing that, okay? However, when done right, they can create some excitement and they can build some trust. But let me be clear on video emails in general with people in them. Video emails, in my experience, work best when focused on the post-sale or post-connection events. For example, thank yous, birthdays, appointment confirmations, lease expiration notices, be-back messaging, anniversaries. That's when these video responses work best. As part of a lead response strategy, you need to understand this about your video voicemails. Your prospect has never met you, okay? So these videos, they have to show you at your very best. You have to be seen as friendly, helpful, honest, and worthy of their trust. See, it's not enough just to stand out, right? Oh, Steve, we do these emails because we stand out. No, no, no. If you come across as unprofessional in your lead response video, you're done, right? So apply the DIR test to these. Did I reconnect? And if they help you reconnect, I'm all in. If they don't help you reconnect, move on. All right, what else is in the traditional process? Well, it's short, right? It's 45 days max. We're going to vary the messages. It's front-loaded. 13 of the 21 activities are in the first 7 days. It's focused on treating the customer like a buyer. So be aggressive about this. They submitted an order, right? They're ready to buy. It has a single goal of a reconnection, or the most overriding goal, and also make the CRM do the heavy lifting when it comes to emails. Use templates, okay? All right, we're going to look at a sample process email in a second, but I think we got a couple of questions here. Is there, I can't read that. Is there a terminology on my, that I should specifically use when the order verb, what you're really, hey, Jim, I don't quite understand your question. After the webcast today, or if you want to send it to me via email, steve@stevestawning.com, go ahead. Kip, how important do you find subject lines for emails, and how direct do you think they should be? Subject lines are extremely important for 2 reasons. We're actually going to talk about them today. The first reason is that the wrong subject line, the email won't get open. The second problem is there are certain words, if you put them in a subject line, are going to be considered spam. So we are going to look at that. In fact, we're going to look at, Kip, it's almost like you got my deck in advance. I think we're going to look at it on the next slide. So, but let's look at our sample process email. Again, the goal is a reconnection, but it has to get read. This means a compelling subject line that won't get flagged as spam. So no need to reinvent the wheel here. There's lots of great online sources to keep your email from hitting spam. The one source that I like is called simplycast.com. And what I would normally show you on the screen if our PowerPoint was working today is some words that will get you flagged as spam. That Simplycast has this great list of 100 words that if you put them in your subject line can get you flagged as spam. And so I'm going to take you through a few of those in just a second, but I only pulled out the ones from the Simplycast email, the Simplycast list that I see dealers use a lot. So let me go ahead and show you those little old-fashioned way. We're going to zoom in on this. I don't know if we can see it. It doesn't matter because I'll read it. Yeah, we're not going to be able to see that. Nah, okay, that's okay. So doing things like number one, I see that in dealer emails. 100%, right? Writing the 100 and the percent sign, putting dollar signs in there. Act now, action, affordable, all new, apply now, bonus, call now, certified, clearance, congratulations. You'll see all of these on the list at simplycast.com, the top 100 words that could get you flagged as spam. The point is, there's no reason for me to reinvent the wheel and give you a new list. There are great lists out there. Use your Google and find them. You also need to avoid using RE:, right? Unless it's a reply. I know we think that's really cool. We get more emails opened with that. We do. But we also get more emails flagged as spam. You also want to avoid all caps in your email response body of your message, but also in your subject. And avoid using exclamation points. Avoid typos. And avoid using one-word subject lines like hello. Those get flagged as spam constantly. So the question is, how do you feel about automating emails? And I'm going to tell you right now, automating emails is exactly what you want to do. You only want one personal email. You may not have been here for that, CKL, but one personal email is all that goes out to non-responsive prospects. After that, they're all automated. That's why you have a CRM. I see also this. It's more of a comment from Danny. You know, too many dealerships have poor post-sale follow-up. Absolutely. And that's why I like a video response strategy for the post-sale follow-up more than in the internet sales process. All right, so we're going to look at a sample email. And again, don't worry about writing this down. This is the day 28 template in my traditional process. So when you download those free processes today, you'll get that. My subject line is quick question. By the way, don't overuse that subject line, but that is the best subject line that I personally use to get my emails open. Now, you got to have a quick question in your email, right? So subject line, quick question. Hey, Mike, I got a quick question for you about your request for the 2018 Camry. Can you call me today at 208-555-1212? I promise to be brief. Thanks. Don't overthink this. That's the whole email, okay? You're probably going, Steve, this is what you have in your free processes? Yeah, it is. This is day 28. This is 4 weeks after they submitted a lead. You've already left 9 voice messages. You've sent 2 requests to text. You've sent 7 emails, and he hasn't responded yet, okay? Roughly 99% of those people who will respond have already responded by this time. Short, text only. It's probably going to be read on mobile, right? So no images, no links, just text, and no spammy subject lines. If you want to dress the body of the email up with a little, can you do me a favor and call today, then feel free. I got a quick question. I got a quick question about your, quick question in the subject line. I got a quick question. If you haven't used that yet, use it, because everything else you've done up till now has failed, okay? Listen, here's the key on that email, is it sounds personal, and it also sounds like as if it was written today. So remember what your goal is. Your goal is a reconnection. Hey, wait, Steve, I like that email, but God, what if he calls back? What quick question do I have for him? You're kidding, right? I mean, I hope you're ready for a question. How about, are you ready to test drive the 2018 Camry? Because I have 2 priority test drives open on the all-new Camry this morning. I've got a 10:15 and a 10:45. Which one works better for you? That's my quick question. All right, listen, after deploying your traditional and your other processes, the key is always to test, measure, move, rewrite, or eliminate. So we're going to test the emails. We're going to make sure they look good. So we'll talk about testing in a second. We're going to measure the ones that actually drive a reconnection. The ones that drive a good reconnection, we're going to move them earlier in the process. Or we're going to rewrite or eliminate the bad ones. And then repeat this constantly. So for testing, every time you set up a new template, you need to send this to your personal email address. So set up a dummy customer in the CRM with an email address that you can monitor, like a separate Gmail address that you have, or go to mail.com. They've got lots of email addresses, lots of domain names you can use for personal email addresses. This is a dummy customer you're going to set up in the CRM. Make sure they have a vehicle of interest in the CRM and a trade-in. This way you can see if the merge fields work when you're sending these messages. So each time you write a new template, send it to this address. You're going to test the merge code. Make sure everything merges properly. You're going to test the formatting, the spacing, and you're going to test your signature line. And make sure everything looks good on the customer side. And then just correct any errors. Now with the measurement, Get to measurement in a second. Looks like we have a question. Steve, what do you think about breakup emails? Tony, I think you're talking about, hey, it looks like we're going to have to break up. That's a good shame email. It's been in use a long time. I want to make sure, because I even look back at some of my shame emails that I had, I taught a few years ago, and they started to sound really corny. And so just make sure that you're passing the two tests, right? Did I reconnect, and does it sell cars? The DIR test and the DISC test. Shame emails are where you make the customer feel humbled because they haven't reached out to you yet. And so I've tried, I give up, looks like we're going to have to break up, those kind of things. Those emails are great, but make sure you're not coming across as smarmy in those. Again, do the testing. And that's the part we're on now, the measurement. See, you're going to track which voicemails get returned as a percent of those who receive them. So if for every 10 times I leave this day 8 voicemail, if it gets returned 80% of the time, 8 out of 10, I'm going to move that up, right? Same thing with the emails. Anything that has a high percent of reconnection, I'm going to move those attempts earlier in the process. And then I'm going to either rewrite or eliminate those email templates and those voicemail scripts that have no good connection percentage. All right, that's the traditional process. We're going to jump into the no phone internet sales process now, section 5. This one's pretty self-explanatory, right? This is a traditional lead where we have a bad phone number or no phone number. Of course, you don't want your CRM prompting you to make calls to these prospects, right? Unfortunately, even the expensive CRMs do this, and it's driving your salespeople crazy. They're being told to make a phone call. They're being told to call some prospect that they don't have a phone number for. So you're either encouraging them to dismiss activities, which you don't want to do, or you're encouraging them to fake activities, which you really don't want to have them do. You've got to have a no-phone process. These leads have to have their own process. And since our traditional process includes 9 phone calls and 2 text attempts, we need a few more emails to generate a proper number of connection attempts, right? So for this process, we added 5. Instead of 10 over 45 days emails on the traditional process, we send 15 over 45 days with the no phone. Plus, our email templates, we need to ask for their phone number at least a few times in these templates. And we certainly wouldn't do that in the traditional process because we have their phone number. Now, some templates you'll notice when you download the 4 processes, some templates are going to be similar. But this process, of course, has no voicemail scripts. That's a big piece of this. Now, Steve, why can't I just use the traditional process? Okay, go ahead. But with only 10 emails total and gaps in the first week, see, we make lots of voicemails in the first week. You're going to have days where you're not trying to connect with them. Your connection percentage is going to be low. Also, there are templates in the traditional process that refer to the calls that you've made. So you're going to sound a little silly and your emails won't look personal. Now, you can't make any calls to these people. You don't have a working number. And so using the traditional process just isn't going to work. Got a quick question from Linwood Honda. Do you have a template response for when the customer uses their own template and they found us online? I don't understand the question, Linwood. I'm sorry. If you could send that to me via email, steve@stevestoney.com. I will certainly go after that question for you. From Jim Harris, to determine if an email is working, what is the average open and average response rates? Number one, I don't care about open rates. I mean, I'll look at them in relative, okay, terms only. You can only track the open rate of an email when the receiver of your email has enabled images. Because the only way that you know it's been opened is when there's a 1 pixel by 1 pixel image that they can't see that calls back to your CRM and says, hey, this email was open, okay? So if they don't enable images on your emails, you'll never know if they're opened. So what makes a good response? It varies, okay? So the ones that do great are early in my process. Over time, we've moved those earlier in the process. The ones that don't have as good of response, we've moved later in the process. So you just need to measure, right? The ones that you're getting a good response to, you're going to move them up. And here's the reason. Your auto response goes out to 100% of the people who submitted a lead, right? Some people are actually going to respond to the auto response. And they might even try to set an appointment. And so you're going to move them immediately into the working bucket. Maybe while you're on the phone, right? While CallDrip's helping you, Web Control's helping you call the prospect. So you'll never send out the first personal response, right? Because you got reconnected then. But take that over time, right? By day 5, you've probably reconnected. I'm going to throw out a number here. You've probably reconnected with 50 to 60%. of the prospects that of all the leads that you got. So that means that the day 6 email is only going to be looked at, is only going to be sent to 40 to 50% of the people who submitted a lead. So I don't want to look at gross number of opens. I want to look at a percent. And then the ones that do well, I'm going to move them over. That's all. All right, so let's write a quick template. This is a day 3 template for the no phone process. This is actually the 4th email sent because they're going to get, remember, we don't have a phone, so we got to be aggressive with emails. So they're going to get the auto response, and they're going to get day 1 personal template, right, that I'm going to personally bring in a template. I'm going to make some changes and send it out. Then the day 2, right, and then this is day 3. So this is the 4th email in the process. And don't overthink this email. The goal is a reconnection. Whether they call us or give us a working number, we don't care. We need to connect, okay? So again, I love the subject line quick question, and that's what this subject line is for this day 3 email. Quick question. Hi, Mary. My apologies. Although I've tried to reach you over the last few days, I haven't been able to, given that I do not have a valid phone number for you. I have some news about the 2018 Focus you asked about. Can you call me today at 208-555-1212, or can you give me a number? Wishes. That's it. By the way, one of the big changes that we've made recently, this is from some testing we did. I said, can you call me today at, and then gave my number. We found that when you say, can you call me today, you drive a higher reconnection than when you say, can you call me at your earliest convenience, or can you call me as soon as possible. When you actually give them some parameters, can you call me today, that's even better than can you call me right away. So that's what our testing has shown, and that's what's in our templates. All right, that's the no phone process. Again, I'm not going to go through all 15 emails because you can download them for free. If you don't have that link, again, we're going to give it away at the end of the broadcast today. So section 6, the trade lead internet sales process. Let's understand, first off, more than anything else, let's understand the trade prospect. Think about them for a minute. They were on your site either looking at vehicles or scheduling service, right? You entice them correctly to value their trade. Now, most people complete the form expecting a value much higher than what the book told them their car was worth, right? I mean, we know on the floor that's what happens. So we need to understand this prospect. They may or may not have been looking at vehicles. We asked them to value their trade, and then in their mind, they got lowballed, right? But why do trade leads need their own process? Don't most trade leads arrive in the CRM with a vehicle of interest attached? Yeah, they do. But focusing on the vehicle of interest instead of the trade gets you lower connection and close rates. Why? Because it's caused by 2 primary factors. First, think about that trade form on your site. How did the customer get there? They're trying to value their trade, and they may not be that sold on the selected vehicle of interest. See, the vehicle of interest was a required field from your trade company, and that's fine, but I don't want to focus on their 2018 Camry they're interested in. I want to buy their 2007 Taurus that they're trying to trade in. Second, even if they do want the vehicle of interest, even if it is the 2018 Camry that they're interested in, when you focus on that vehicle, that makes you the seller. If all your messaging focuses on that Camry, you're the seller. Focusing on their trade makes you the buyer. Now, first we'll talk about the process, then we'll talk about the templates. When you download this process, you'll notice it's 60 days. It's a little longer than the traditional and the no phone process. It's 60 days instead of 45. And here's the reason. If they were a service customer there, they were higher funnel than a traditional lead is today, okay? In 2017, this year, my trade process was actually only 30 days long. And then we started to do some A/B testing. We went back to 60 days with some clients, and we did A/B testing. We saw responses to this process coming in on day 45 and later, and that's why we lengthened the process back to 60 days. Quick question, then we'll get back to the trade process. Why do you recommend an after-hours lead response? What do you recommend for an after-hours lead response? We generally only email as we think it may be too late to call. Yeah, Kip, I would absolutely not call after hours. They don't expect you to, especially if your auto response, if you're using an after-hours auto response, it sort of sets the stage for them. Now, that said, if you're one of those lucky dealerships that closes at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday and you get a lead at 6:05 and you're still there, I'm calling all day, okay? I'm going to use the same sort of, mentality on the times that I'm going to call based on the human beings out there, not based on my store hours. So we close Saturday at 5. I may call at 6 or 7 on a Saturday because that's okay. If we're open at 7 for service and maybe our first BDC agents come in at 7, I'm probably not calling people at 7 in the morning who sent in a lead yesterday, but if I get a lead right now, even though my sales department doesn't open until 8:30, if I get a lead at 7:15, I'm calling that customer right away. So good question. One, you make sure you're using good after-hours auto response, which we have in our traditional process that sets the stage for what's going to happen when your store opens back up. But remember the stats. The first person to talk to a new prospect is 238% more likely to sell them a car. So if I'm within the time frame of my community, right, if it's okay to call at 8:30 and we closed at 7, I'm calling at 8:30. Great question, Kip. All right, so back to the trade lead process. The goal is a reconnection. Phone calls still end on day 15 or 9 calls. Why? 2 reasons. One, your team isn't going to make more than that. Let's be fair. But also, again, there's 0 ROI in making calls after 9. There's no calls that'll going to generate enough ROI after you've made 9 attempts. Now, our message, however, has to be more for these trade lead customers than call me, right? Because there's a good chance they didn't like the value, right? See, with every trade lead, we need to assume that they got lowballed in their mind, right? That their vehicle of interest in the trade lead is just a placeholder at best, right? That they really do want to trade. They're just not sure since they owe X and we offered them something less than X. And so what do we do when we have these people on the floor, right? We sell them a car. We roll in the negative equity and it's no big deal. But these people aren't on our floor. And so we have to give them some hope that we can get them a better value, but only a trained appraiser knows what their vehicle is worth. So our focus needs to be on, we need your trade, right? We're excited to see your trade. Let's schedule a quick appraisal so we can get you the most money. Only a trained appraiser knows what your vehicle is worth, right? To be irresponsible for a dealer to give that information over the phone, right? So these are the things that we're going to say in our emails and our voicemail scripts. It's things like, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy ours. All right, let's write a quick trade lead email template. Again, the goal is a reconnection. Remember that. But they've been lowballed in their mind. So we need a compelling reason for them to reconnect. Now, with this process, let's look at one of the last emails that we actually send. So this process goes 60 days. I'm going to give you the day 45 email that I send and why. Now, you can move it up in the process. You can get rid of it. You can do whatever you want. Actually, let me say that about the processes that you're going to get for free. Make them your own. Okay? Make them your own. Don't just take my processes and throw them in your CRM. Make them your own. Read through them. Make sure that they make sense to you. All right. It's day 45. You've sent 9 emails to this prospect already. You've made 2 requests to text. You've left 9 voicemails, yet they still haven't reconnected. Why? 2 reasons. One, they either bought elsewhere or they were a high funnel prospect, maybe a service customer. They really didn't want to trade in their vehicle. They just want to see what it's worth. Nothing you've said or written so far has worked with them. It's time to look for another compelling reason. And my favorite compelling reason this far in the trade process is the old repair versus replace argument. So the subject line, and this subject line's long, and I get it. If you want to shorten it down, go for it. The subject line, repairing is nearly always more expensive than replacing. All right, the body of the email. Hi, Bob. I wanted to give another shot at connecting with you and to give you some info that might help you make a decision on whether to trade in now or not. The average driver puts almost 15,000 miles each year on their vehicle. If your car is out of warranty, those 15,000 miles might lead to costly repairs. That's why most experts say it's usually better to replace your used car with a new or certified vehicle covered by a manufacturer's warranty than to get hit with expensive repairs, especially since the next big repair bill could come at any time. Now, we've got a great selection of vehicles under warranty and can even help you get the best financing rates available. Just call me today at 208-555-1212 to schedule a time to come in for a no-hassle priority appraisal. We're paying over the book price for a lot of good, clean trades these days. Listen, like all steps in these processes, don't overthink this email. It's been 45 days, and in all likelihood, you're ending up in their spam folder by now anyway, okay? The goal is a reconnection. That's it. In order to get a reconnection this late in the game, you have to provide a different compelling reason than you did before, right? All right. We're in the home stretch. We're going to do a quick question, then we're going to get into the credit app internet sales process. All right, Jim, is there a difference in the context scheduling days of calls, 9, 29, et cetera, for a person looking at $15,000 or $55,000 car? Jim, that's a great question. So when I do a sub bucket, okay, of used versus new, and let's say that I have, let's say I'm a Ford dealer, right? So a Raptor lead is going to be treated more like, believe it or not, a $5,000 used car lead because it's scarce, right? So I may have a shortened process for Raptor leads. I may have a process that I don't make 9 calls. I make 4 calls and I send 4 emails and it's a week and then I move on, right? Because I'm selling it for 10 grand above MSRP. Same thing with a $5,000 car or any kind of cash car that you have. I'm going to have a faster process, one that really pushes a lot earlier. So I'm going to create those sub buckets. Again, if you're using web control, those sub buckets are, I really wish I had the screenshots to show you. The sub buckets are so easy to create. They really are. So you can create all those buckets you want. And what happens is you have the lead come into your traditional bucket. You read the lead. Your call drip's making the call for you. You get voicemail. You leave a voicemail. Before you do your first personal response, you look at the lead and you go, wow, this is for a cash car. I got to get this customer in sooner. Or this is for a Raptor. I got to get this customer in sooner. So I'm going to move them into this process. Oh, this is for a fairly common vehicle out there that there's tons of. I might have a different process for that one, right? So I may have a separate process based on model, based on year, based on price. Absolutely. Again, your CRM's got to make it easy to do this or you simply won't put these processes together. All right, Bert's got a question. I'm a Volvo dealer. Lots of these people do 3 months of research after the first email. Any suggestion? Okay, so it depends on the lead, right? So your Volvo leads that come from the manufacturer, those are probably a little bit higher funnel, okay? So if you want to have a separate bucket for them that goes out 90 days, please do it, okay? And stretch your calls to day 30, but still just 9 calls. Do that all day long, all right? But if they're at my website, they're a lot lower funnel than they're letting on. Don't let the customer lie to you today, okay? When I sold my first car in 1985, every customer who walked on the lot said, we're just looking, you're the first place we've been, we're not buying today. Back then, the average buyer visited more than 10 lots, right, before they bought a car, something like that. In 2014, according to McKinsey & Company, the average buyer in America visited 1.6 lots. But what are they still saying today when they walk on your lot? I'm not buying today, I'm just looking, you're my first stop. They're lying to you. Same thing with most of the leads you're getting. They're afraid of you, and they're going to put up a smoke screen when you do connect with them. Now, we talk about that in other training. This is how do we connect with them. So if you feel like you have a high funnel source, right? So let's say Volvo.com is a high funnel source, or VolvoUSA.com. Let's say that is a high funnel source, then I may treat it a little bit differently. But there's no reason I can't pull them in sooner, okay? There's no reason I can't make compelling arguments, especially about things like incentives. So one of the voicemails that we have and one of the emails that we have in the traditional process says the incentives expire soon, right? We went over that one earlier. I may be 90 days out before I'm going to buy my next Volvo. That doesn't mean I can't be enticed to come in sooner for the right deal. So you use your head. You might have different processes based on lead source, and it might make tons of sense for you, and please do. But don't take something like a third-party lead, right, where 2 other Volvo dealers or 1 other Volvo dealer has the lead, or a website lead, because those are a lot lower funnel. Don't take those to be, 90 days out before they're ready to buy. All right, great questions. All right, let's dive into the last section today, the credit app internet sales process. First, again, we got to figure out who this prospect is, right? If you have a long-form credit app on your website, the one that's the real credit app, that lead is probably someone who's credit challenged. However, if your form is like the Jumpstart Activator eCredit lead form, right, where they do a soft poll and they just ask a couple of questions, then you're going to receive a mix of prospects. You'll receive some people who are, 480s, 520s, but you'll get some 680s, 780s, and even some 820s. But anyone who completes either form is, on average, your lowest funnel website leads. People don't start thinking about financing until they're ready to buy. Now, all leads today are orders, but the credit application prospects, they are truly ready to buy if you can get them to reconnect. Now, for the credit challenge, they just need some hope and some enthusiasm, right? They just want you to give them some hope that you're going to be able to get them financed. But you know what? The 620 to 680 beacons and above, they're probably trying to save time. So you might need 2 processes, right? Does this mean 2 credit app processes, Steve? Yeah, if your CRM can support it, right? So again, Web Control can do this. You just move your bad credit prospects to a new bucket after reviewing the lead. You can easily add multiple processes with great CRMs like Web Control and then assign the customers to these processes, right? And by the way, with Web Control, you can actually assign custom names and tasks. You can call the processes anything you want. You can have a process for, 520 and below and 521 to 620, whatever you want to do. I mean, you can create all these processes. But regardless of the number of credit processes that you have, these are shorter processes than all the others. My credit application process is only 30 days long, and it is heavily front-loaded. Chances are, with credit application prospects, you're going to reconnect by the second or third call with these people. So they won't receive this week one barrage that you'll see when you download that process. The total process in 30 days is 15 emails. It's a lot. 9 calls and 2 text attempts. And 8 of those 15 emails occur in week one. We really do need to treat these people as low funnel buyers because they are. See, the credit application prospect, they are ready to buy, and we need to help them do this. All right, let's write a quick voicemail script for this group. Hello again, Bob. This is Steve Stauning calling from Steve's Cars, and I want to let you know that I was speaking with my finance manager this morning about your request, and I've got some great news. Can you call me right away at 555-1212? Once again, my name is Steve with Steve's Cars, and my number is 555-1212. Thanks, Bob. I look forward to speaking with you. Again, don't overthink this. All leads are orders. Everyone's ready to buy today. Your primary goal in all of your internet sales process is what? A reconnection. You've got to give them a compelling reason to call you back. Now, where dealers fail is where they try to stuff too much into their emails or their voicemails. That really is where we see problems today. It's not that you're not saying enough, it's that you're trying to say too much. Now, I'll take you through an email. We just mystery shopped a store recently with their trade-in form, and on day 8, we got a response back. They only have one process, a traditional process. So even though we were trying to trade in our vehicle, we got a traditional email back from this prospect because they only have one. And I want to take you through that. Even though I'm talking about credit app here, I want to take you through that email because it's really bad from the prospect standpoint. So I'm going to turn and read it. But you know what? The subject line was "I give up!" exclamation point. Now, this is day 8, and they're already giving up. That scared me, but it was in all caps, right? And then they said, "Dear Jeff, I've been calling and emailing you for over a week, not over a week, but over a week." They didn't even check for typos. All right. Again, this was about us trying to trade in a vehicle. I'm ready to give up, but I really want to help you with your 2018 Honda Accord purchase! Exclamation point. Imagine, by the way, first, again, it's a trade lead, right? But imagine if this was a lead with no phone number or a credit app lead, and they're trying to sell me a car. It's a bad experience for the prospect, and it won't drive a reconnection. It had a typo, which is typical when I mystery shop 20 groups, even if it's a template. This is a trade lead, but the template goes to all prospects in day 8. If the prospect had provided no phone, how is it I've been calling you for over a week, right? How are they able to do that? And if the lead was a credit app with no vehicle, you end up getting blanks for that field, or I've seen this in where it doesn't merge and it says year, make, model, right? Not 2018 Honda Accord. It actually says year, make, model. That's why you need different processes. At a minimum, you need 4 processes, the ones that we're giving you for free. And of course, with a great CRM, you should be able to create as many processes as necessary. For example, if you wanted to send different emails to, say, AutoByTel or AutoWeb leads, then you do a website lead. Why not create a sub-bucket for AutoByTel? All right, let's recap the keys for all internet sales processes. Number 1, your goal is a reconnection. All right, today's leads are much lower funnel than they were in the past. And emailing forever, that guarantees you're going to end up in spam. So you want to be the first person to call any prospect, because remember, the first person who connects with the prospect is 238% more likely to sell them a car. So use a rapid response tool like Web Control with Call Drip. Remember, with all the processes, there's no ROI in more than 9 calls. Also, always use an auto response. Don't overthink that. Don't let someone talk you out of your auto response. It's necessary. People look at the auto response like they look at the Amazon confirmation email. It's a welcome message. All right. Automatically fire all emails after your first personal response to all non-responsive prospects. Remember, keep your emails short and text only. Always write what we call those fussy templates and scripts, okay? Fear, urgency, scarcity, shame, or excitement. Make sure that you have one of those compelling reasons in all of your templates and all your voicemail scripts. You need to measure and you need to make improvements. Now, understand that's a lot to remember, okay? That's why you're going to get a link to all of my processes. We're going to wrap this up. I'm going to give you a link again where you can download my 2018 internet sales processes, templates, and voicemail scripts. You're going to get my traditional process. You're going to get my no phone process, my trade lead process, and my credit application process. Now, if you have questions after today, contact me via the form at stevestauning.com or email me at steve@stevestauning.com. If you want to be notified of training before it happens or as soon as we post new videos, follow me on Twitter at Steve Stauning or follow us at UD Advantage. You can also like us on the Facebook. Just look for Steve Stauning on Facebook. You'll see my business and my personal page. Feel free to follow both. And also follow us, follow Undeniable Advantage on Facebook. All right. I'm going to tell you again where to get those processes. Remember, if you have questions after today, email. While. There we go. Sorry, I lost sound for a minute. Hey, I'm going to remember, here's where you can get the free processes, right? DriveDominion.com /web control webcast visitors /. Also, about an hour from now, after this is over, I'm going to post on undeniableadvantage.com at the top of undeniableadvantage.com, our homepage, will be a link to this page in case you fat finger this as you're trying to write it down. So don't worry about that. I'll leave this up for a minute, and then we're going to close out in a second. But remember, questions after today, steve@stevestauning.com, or go to stevestauning.com, look for Contact Steve, and you can contact me through there. I appreciate your time today. Again, we're going to leave this up for just a few more seconds. And then, by the way, you can pause this video if you're watching this on the YouTube, and because you're going to lose this in a second. You can pause this video so you can write it all down. Thank you all very much. Again, I appreciate your time today, and I appreciate you staying with us through all of our technical difficulties. Have a great weekend.
Did you know? Instant phone calls increase conversions by 500%. Web Control now integrates with Call Drip so you can instantly connect with internet leads. Here's how it works. A customer fills out a form online and becomes a lead. Then, within 60 seconds, a salesperson gets a call to connect with the new lead. The Call Drip lead, complete with contact and vehicle information, will automatically drip into the Web Control prospect listing page to make processing easy. Once the call is completed, your call history and the recording of the call will also flow into Web Control. This customer data will enable you to continue to follow up on that lead. Nurtured leads produce a 20% increase in sales opportunities. Generate more opportunities and more conversions when you instantly connect with internet leads with Web Control plus Call Drip. Contact Dominion Dealer Solutions to get started.